In today's video, we're going to be debunking 5 common Social Security filing myths that prevent you from getting the most out of your benefit. Now, for many families, Social Security can be a $1 million plus asset for your retirement, but standing between you and getting the most out of your benefit are these 5 common myths. And so let's go ahead and do some myth busting in this video. Myth number 1 is claim your Social Security benefit as early as you can at age 62. And the main reason often cited for this myth is at the end of the day, you don't know how long you're going to live. And so you should get what you can from the system while you can in order to get some benefits. And we know that longevity is a very important variable in your optimal filing strategy. And so not knowing how long you're going to live makes planning for this variable quite difficult. For instance, we know that if you were to pass away at 65 and we knew exactly you were going to pass away at age 65, well, it would never make sense to delay your Social Security benefit until full retirement age or till age 70. However, on the flip side, if we knew you were going to live till age 95, it would almost never make sense for you to file at 62 or even your full retirement age benefit. But leaving aside the longevity, because at the end of the day, that is a large unknown for most retirees, what is the risk-reward trade-off between some of these different filing ages? On the screen is a chart showing the portfolio value difference for a retiree looking at a 62 age filing strategy versus an age 70 filing strategy. Now, this is a single retiree. Their Social Security benefit at full retirement age is $30,000, and they're going to need $60,000 of inflation-adjusted income through time. Now, we're using a 3% inflation rate and a 7% growth rate on their portfolio. And what you can see is if this person passes away earlier in their retirement, they are risking something by delaying until 70. For instance, the maximum point for how much they would be risking would be about $282,000 at age 70. And so this is essentially 8 years worth of income from filing early versus never receiving their benefit from delaying. Now we see their break even happens right between age 82 and 83. And on the back half of their retirement, we can see it makes a lot of sense for them to delay Social Security the longer that they live. For instance, if they were to pass away at age 92, they would have an extra $540,000 from delaying their benefit versus filing early. And so we can see that the longer that someone lives, the higher reward there would be for delaying their benefit. Let's take this risk-reward trade-off one step further. On the bottom half of the screen, I have this person's Social Security benefit at different ages, whether they filed early or they delayed their benefit. And let's say this person was at risk of running out of money within their retirement. Well, if this person ran out of money, the only thing they would have left would be their Social Security benefit. And I really view Social Security as a risk mitigation tool because of this exact reason. For instance, you can see at various ages how much they would have left versus if they delayed or filed early. And we can see at each different level, if you were at risk of running out of money, you would certainly rather have the delayed benefit versus the early benefit. And so not only in terms of pure risk reward do I think it makes sense to delay your benefit to an extent, but also thinking in terms of the worst risk, the run out of money risk, do I think it makes sense to delay your benefit to earn that larger benefit? And so we can see that claiming as early as possible oftentimes is likely not going to be the best decision. Myth number 2 is Social Security is going broke. And this is often a myth that is used to scare retirees into filing for their benefit earlier than they should. Every year, the Social Security Administration releases the trustee report that goes into the long-run projections for the Social Security Administration. It's important to understand there are 2 elements that make up the scheduled benefits that will be paid to retirees. The first is a trust fund. The second are payroll taxes. So all workers pay in payroll taxes, and this covers the majority of Social Security benefits being paid out to retirees. Now, at times in the past, payroll taxes have outpaced the scheduled benefits, and so there's been money that has gone into this Social Security trust fund. Think about this like a bank account, that anytime the payroll taxes don't cover the scheduled benefits, we're going to take out of that trust fund. Here's what the 2022 trustee report tells us. If Congress doesn't make any changes to the Social Security system through this trust fund and payroll taxes, from now until 2034, 100% of scheduled benefits will be covered by these 2 avenues. From there, we will see a 20% cut in Social Security benefits because payroll taxes will only be able to cover 20% of benefits over the long term. So understand, at the very least, you will receive 80% of your scheduled benefits almost regardless of what Congress does at this point. But also understand that Congress has a huge incentive to fix the Social Security system. For instance, the largest block of voters are Well, the baby boomers, who are all filing for Social Security right now. And so if Congress wants to keep their job, they will need to remedy this issue. Well, the good news is the fixes for the Social Security system are much simpler and easier than most people expect. Now on the screen, I have two examples of what some of these fixes might be. The first is eliminating the payroll cap. So right now, all workers only pay Social Security tax up to the first $147,000 that they make. So take somebody like Aaron Rodgers. He makes something like $40 million a year. Well, he only pays Social Security tax on the first $147,000 that he makes. And so what Congress could do is eliminate this cap, and this has already been discussed. And just by eliminating this cap, which would affect only a portion of taxpayers, we would see Social Security solvent out to 2055. At that point, there would only be a 13% cut in benefits. The second example that we're looking at here is a combination of a bunch of small adjustments. And understand that in all of these adjustments, I'm not adjusting any benefits for retirees, but rather for future generations. So a couple of these small adjustments would be taking the trust fund and investing a portion of that in the stock market. Another change would be extending out the full retirement age for younger generations, as well as tightening the Social Security disability criteria. And what we'll see in the second example is with a combination of small adjustments, solvency is extended out to 2059, at which point there would only be a 7% cut in benefits. So what I think is most likely is Congress will make some changes from now until 2035. There will likely be some smaller adjustments, so there is no one group of citizens that are affected too greatly within these Social Security fixing. But understand that Social Security is not going broke, and you shouldn't make fear-based decisions based on this myth. Myth number 3 is around Social Security taxation. And a lot of retirees think that almost regardless of what they do, they're going to be fully taxed. On the screen, I have the table that lays out exactly how much your Social Security benefit will be taxed. And as you can see, for a married filer, if their provisional income is above $44,000, they will be fully taxed in terms of Social Security, which means 85% of their benefit will be taxed. Now, on the left-hand side of the screen, I have exactly what provisional income is. And let's use an example to show why this myth exists. Let's say that we have somebody with a $40,000 Social Security benefit, and they are taking $40,000 from their IRAs. Well, we can see that half of their Social Security benefit will be counted, so $20,000, and then all of their IRA distributions, $40,000, would be counted, so their provisional income would be $60,000. Well, a lot of retirees look at this table and go, well, that's obviously more than $44,000, so my benefit will be fully taxed at that 85% level. But understand that this provisional income guideline is not a tax cliff. It's not as if you go right over that $44,000 mark and you will be fully taxed. Rather, it happens slowly. To give an example of what I mean, on the screen I have this $80,000 income goal with different Social Security benefits and different IRA distributions to meet that $80,000 goal. Now, keep in mind this is for a married filer. And what we'll see is if this couple has $30,000 of Social Security benefits, they're taking $50,000 from their IRAs, and they're going to have $5,128 in taxes based on this tax situation. But at this point, only 79% of their Social Security benefit is taxed. Now, as we raise their Social Security benefit relative to this income level, we'll see that far less is being taxed based on that provisional income formula. If we now look at half of their income need coming from Social Security, half coming from their portfolio, we'll see that now only 49% of their Social Security benefit is taxed. And we see about a $1,700 reduction in taxes as well. And again, this is because Social Security is tax preference. The more we take from our other assets, the more our benefit will be taxed. And so understand that we can really control the taxation of Social Security. For instance, if we delay our benefit, earn a larger benefit of $50,000 of Social Security benefit, it means that we only have $30,000 coming from our portfolio at that point. And now our tax liability is only $1,755. And that's because only 30% of our Social Security benefit is taxed. Myth number 4 is that it's specifically all about your longevity. And this isn't the case at all if you're married. For instance, let's go through an example showing what I mean. We have Todd and Sarah Johnson. Now, Todd has a benefit of $2,800 per month at full retirement age. He is the higher earner. Sarah has a benefit of $2,000 per month at full retirement age. Now, Todd has a poor health history, and thus his longevity is affected in a big way. We expect Todd to only live until age 75. Sarah, on the other hand, has no longevity concerns. We would expect normal, if not further longevity in her specific situation. Now, because of this, because of looking at his longevity, Todd is looking at filing earlier at 62, because, again, he wants to get what he can from the system. Sarah, however, would be looking at delaying in this situation. And this would be the wrong way to look at this because, again, when we're married, Social Security becomes a team decision. For instance, when someone in a couple passes away, the widow will receive 100% of the higher of the two benefits. This includes all delayed credits as well as all penalties for taking early. And so when Todd passes away, even if he delayed his benefit until age 70, Sarah would receive his larger benefit for the rest of her life. And so rather than Todd taking at 62 and Sarah delaying until 70 and only basing their Social Security strategy off their own longevity, they should actually switch that up. The reason for this is you're maximizing the larger of the two benefits for the long run. For instance, we can see a breakdown of the cumulative benefits for if the husband delays until 70 and the wife takes at 62, or if the wife delays until 70 and the husband takes at 62. And as you can see, there is a gap early on because the husband has a larger benefit and he is delaying his benefit. Now this gap only grows to $53,000. On the flip side, the longer that Sarah lives down the road, we can see this gap grows to $300,000 in favor of Todd delaying his benefit at age 70. And so when we think about the long-run financial stability of Sarah, it's much better for Todd to look at their life expectancy as a group rather than just looking at his life expectancy. The final myth is claim early and invest the rest. The idea here being that the long-term performance of your portfolio can outpace any return on investment that Social Security can provide. And I often find this myth exists because of a miscalculation of the value of Social Security. People often leave out that Social Security is an inflation-adjusted asset that offers a better ROI for Social Security, as well as a lot of the tax savings that can be acquired with Social Security. But on the screen, I have two charts looking at two different growth rates to show whether claiming early and investing the rest actually does make sense in terms of a risk-reward trade-off. Now, we can see on the left-hand side of the screen with a 6% portfolio growth rate, we can see that the break-even happens right around age 83 for this married couple. Now, if they delayed their benefit and passed away earlier than expected, at most they would be risking about $275,000 in portfolio assets. But as they lived longer, we can see that they would be gaining more than $500,000 in added value over the long term. And so this gap grows pretty significantly with a 6% portfolio growth rate. What happens though if we jack that growth rate up to 10%? Well, now we see the break even move from age 83 all the way back to age 95. We can see within the chart on the bottom half of the screen, at the maximum point, you would be risking about $400,000 in value if you could achieve that higher growth rate. But even this analysis right here doesn't tell the whole story. Because within this analysis, we're using a static growth rate of 6% and 10%, assuming there's some mystical CD out there of 6 and 10%. We know that there is some volatility that will happen with inside a portfolio that can grow at 10% per year. But oftentimes what we'll see when we introduce this sequence of return risk is this claim and invest idea really ends up falling apart. Again, this is because of the volatility within the portfolio. Again, over a long period of time, your portfolio might have grown at 10% per year, but you will have experienced stock market downturns and all of the given volatility that comes with earning that high of a growth rate. Now, what we'll see when we add in that sequence of return is not only is the break even moved up, but we also see the gap on the back end for the delaying portfolio also increase as well. Now, keep in mind that on the screen, this is just one simulation. And so as we start to simulate over time, sequence of return could actually add to your portfolio if you stack some really good return periods on the front end, thus making delaying your portfolio maybe not even have a break even. But really, when we think about this claim early and invest the rest idea, what are we really gaining and what are we really risking? For instance, the only time this idea really pans out is if we use a very large growth rate. Well, how much do we want to bet our retirement on a very large growth rate? We're already doing that if we have a fairly large retirement portfolio. Why not balance out that reward and risk with delaying your Social Security benefit to have a large guaranteed income stream in case you end up making the wrong bet with that given portfolio? Now, understand thus far, we've really only been debunking these myths at the surface level. And what we'll see oftentimes with Social Security is as we take your Social Security filing strategy and we fold it into your overall retirement plan, we see that the value of Social Security can increase based on some important filing decisions. For instance, as you delay your Social Security benefit, there's a window of opportunity that opens up that allows you to implement a lot of important tax strategies. We talk about this exact strategy in this video right here, where by delaying your Social Security benefit, you create a cleanup zone that can allow you to perform some very important tax strategies like Roth conversions. Click on this video to learn more, and always remember, you don't need more money, you need a better plan. Thanks for watching.